because it's tied to that meter, it'll work the same way as what you're describing and what we do here. If we put it somewhere else and basically feed the grid, then we would basically have a wholesale solar farm that we're selling PG&E, and we'd be generating revenue there and then still paying a bill, but theoretically the two would offset.
Are those type of situations common, or like a solar farm that's not attached to a facility?
So it's actually pretty common to have a solar farm that's attached to a facility,
Right.
or some sort of geothermal energy production or methane energy
Cogen, or,
production
yeah.
as part of a facility. That's more common in smaller agencies. In larger agencies, it's not necessarily uncommon to have a larger solar farm or a geothermal farm or something
Okay.
that would pay
Solely for producing electricity to the grid. Okay.
because if you know you're making this much and you know you're using this much, then it's easy to say, okay, this is the offset.
Right.
But your generation, I mean, what you're producing and you're selling it wholesale, but you're paying retail.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily equal
That's
out.
allowed, right?
So maybe at some point, maybe we could have a discussion about ways to offset our utility, electricity costs in the district. I don't want to dovetail off of this conversation, but because we're talking about solar, then there was also the talk previously about the AMI, if I'm not mistaken, meters.
Well, AMI meters would be a different thing, that's not power.
Well, that would change the power, you can change the power structure as well.
Well, it's not going to change our power bill necessarily. I mean, we might see a little bit of reduction in pumping during peak hours, but we already set our pumps not to pump during peak hours.
And then the other thing I think we also had talked about was co-digestion facilities, so maybe some of those things could be discussed like
Well,
long term.
As part of the treatment plant, we're looking at all options, especially options to reduce our operating costs. So,
Because I only expect this electricity will get higher and higher.
oh yeah,
Count on that.
welcome to California. We'll take everything you have.
And we don't participate
Ask
in
for
any
more.
choice energy program that's going on in the cities in Monterey County, correct?
Right.
Right. So,
Another board comment? I did have a couple of points I would like to bring up and discuss. Point number one is the fund number 325.
What page?
It's on virtually every page. This
Okay,
is,
yeah, right, spread apart from the, yeah, spread
Yeah,
apart, yeah.
so this is professional services accounting. I went through the proposed increase. The original budget for this line item was $32,987. The new proposed total of all of these funds added together is $46,400, which is $13,413, equals an increase of 41%. I'm really only making this a point to have it on everybody's radar that we are paying for accounting services in this vein, also paying for our audit expenses and paying the bookkeeper, so we're expending a fair amount of money to track our funds. So that's really my point with Fund 325. I also had a question specific to the fire. It is on page 105, and it would be line 450, EMS supplies. That's an increase, I guess, as part of the AED replacement, why there's an increase of 8,800.
Yes, so
Specific for that purchase.
when we looked at everything that we had, we were able to make adjustments and actually have a fairly large cut in our budget. And we were going to ask for a capital outlay on the purchase of the AEDs, and I'll let Scott explain that in our action item on it. And he's actually done some really great work to bring it back with the savings that we had in our budget. We were able to put some of those funds into the EMS and not have to do a capital outlay and use budget funds that were available to do that.
That's part of my question is, I know that we received a donation towards this purchase.
That is part of that.
Right, so I guess,
We'll use the donation funds to pay for the $4,325 of that AED
Right.
cost. So it's incorporated into it.
yes, it's not reflected in the bottom line number, but the
Right.
funds are in that account, so we offset it.
Yeah, they just have a separate, it was kind of confusing to me as well, but
Yeah.
we ironed it out. There's a separate placeholder in our revenues, and we have a line item for donations. So those donations are sitting there for fire, and it's $4,325. So
Right.
we were going to use those funds from that placeholder to pay for the AEDs. So our actual buy-in is like $4,000.
It makes sense. This is just outgoing, so.
Right.
Yeah.
I figured. Okay. All right, well, those are my only 2 points on this.
Just to comment on your concern about the accounting fees,
Yep.
pretty sure that's gonna go down after July, June. It should decrease significantly.
I understand. I just wanted it to be public record.
Yep, and at the staff or the board's acknowledgement and questioning and request with our purchasing policy, and I've already spoke with the Kramer group that RFP will be going out, a job description will be going out, and they'll be applying in that manner rather than working like on an hourly basis to do a specific task. It'll have a work detail with the whole thing, so that whole process will be covered before you.
Why would we continue needing their services at this point?
Well, it would be in a different fashion, but
Okay.
but what it was is that you have a bookkeeper, you have a financial person.
Second set of
And you
eyes.
have that second person who's only supposed to be coming in and auditing our work, which could be on a quarterly basis or something of that nature. It's not supposed to be to the high end where it's at, and that's the idea, is to change that.
I'll say one more comment, if you will.
Yes.
Let's see exactly which, so we have 475 on our fire fund, and we increased that, and what we were able to do is work through our budget, and rather than take money from our capital holdings and support the server replacement portion that fire was due to pay, we actually captured that within our budget, so we are leaving our capital reserves intact, and we're paying that our portion for the server replacement within our budget this year, so our capital reserves are whole.
Okay.
Just want you guys to know that.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other board comment? Any public comment?
I have a comment.
Yes.
As part of the next item, which is the AED replacement,
Yep.
we're going to ask for an amendment to add 3 AEDs for the utilities departments. So I'd like to add in this item, in the budget adjustment, I'd like to add in both wastewater and water, $2,000 each to object 490 to cover the costs of the AEDs for water and wastewater respectively.
So it's going to go into small tools and equipment?
No.
Is that the right category?
Which number did
I
you say
think that's
that?
the most closely related category.
In
490,
water.
tools and equipment.
Water.
Well, in wastewater, there wasn't actually a projection to increase it or change it. So we would be adding, to the wastewater budget adjustment, we'd be adding object 490. It would go from the existing $4,000 budget, an additional $2,000 be added, so it'd be $6,000 total. In water, the current budget is $3,000. We're already going to add $1,000, so we'd be adding $3,000 instead to make it a total of $6,000 also.
A question on that, so you're looking at adding 3 units?
Right, 3 units at the same cost that the fire department is paying per unit.
So they make our total cost, our total.
So you're adding a line
line
of 490
So,
to wastewater.
well,
Yes.
the total purchase altogether would be closer to 12,000.
No, but 9 units?
Yes.
9 units in total.
I spoke to the vendor and requested that we have the ability to add additional units if approved. So the goal would be to process a purchase order for the fire department solely, and then have a second purchase order issued for the water department, wastewater department, but reflecting the pricing that I was able to establish for
Because it's a
the
bulk
buy,
deal.
the buy of 6, and I really got a good deal on it.
I did benchmark the pricing, and we did get a good deal. Would you be interested in negotiating that for 3 more units?
I actually had a conversation today just to make sure we were able to maintain that good deal.
Yeah, that's great.
And
So
they're
you wouldn't
looking,
mind selling 3 more units, is that what you're saying?
we're lucky to get it.
Really?
Yeah.
That price, can't touch it.
I actually looked it up in GovSpend and found that the price you're getting is lower than what I could find in GovSpend.
Wow.
And searching through other suppliers, they were all $16.99 a piece and up for the most part.
It's a hard set price, but we were able to find a vendor who was willing to give us
When we get to the AED.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
He'll be able to explain to you, all I can say is he put a lot of good thought and work into this. We talked about what we needed and wanted, and I asked him to oversee different bids and things like that, and he far exceeded what I thought he was doing.
Fair enough.
It's actually really cool.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2019-43, authorizing proposed mid-year budget adjustments to the approved fiscal year 2019-20 budget with the inclusion of $3,000 to wastewater and $3,000 to water for purchase of
It's
AEDs.
$2,000.
2,000 each?
From this report, it's an additional 2,000 to water, 2,000 to wastewater and 2,000 to water.
2,000.
Under
Project 40.
So amended to 2,000
Okay, I was confused there too.
each.
I had 390.
390?
490.
So many numbers.
Mine 490 on both.
490, okay. Water, wastewater, 492 K each. Okay.
I'll second as proposed.
Green. Director Bauhox,
Yes.
Director Parent,
Yes.
Director Calvins,
Yes.
Director Green,
Yes.
President Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 5-0-0 with amendments.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on to item number 3. Review and approve resolution 2019-41, the purchase of 6 new Zoll Plus AEDs with additional pads.
So this basically is coming to you, a current Philips Heart Start AEDs that are free, located on each piece of responding equipment, have come to the end of service life. You can send items in like that and get them refurbed and sent back out. They require an annual service. Ours are so old they will no longer service them. We've actually gone beyond even the refurb service. And I'll let Scott give you the details on that. With new American Heart Association standards, we had to change a few things at the training level, which we did, and that's why the class is really cool and people were really enjoying it. But it requires us to meet the standards. Zoll Plus was chosen because the predominant AED used, San Luis Ambulance runs Zoll, and Camp Roberts, our counterparts, and this AED had a 5-year versus a 3-year warranty on it. And I'll let Scott give you the rest of the details.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. We actually have 2 functioning AEDs currently. One of them has a dead battery, and it's not even worth replacing the battery at $125. This company is willing to buy back our old units, the old Philips Heart Start units, which no other company was willing to do. They're only giving us $50 a piece for them, but that spares us the burden of having to try to surplus them. And if we went to donate them, we'd have to have them recertified, and that's just an expense we don't need to have a burden of. More than likely, we would just throw them on a shelf, they'd sit here for the end of time. So to send them out and have them deal with it makes more sense than to do that. We talked about different avenues to, can we donate this? It's just not worth it. They're way past their prime, and they're unserviceable, as Chief Rose said. The AEDs do work with Camp Roberts, they work with San Luis Ambulance, they'll be compatible with CHP and the Sheriff's Department. So everybody is using the Zoll AEDs currently in our sphere of influence. With that thought, we may be able to get reimbursed for the pad use, because the ambulance does reimburse us for consumables on calls if we use non-rebreathers, certain seat collars, whatever. restock our complement, so potentially we could save, pads are 160, we're getting it for 165 currently, but we might not get that deal in the future, so they're probably close to $200 for a set of adult pads.
What's the shelf life?
The shelf life, I'm not certain on the pads, but I would assume they'd be as long as the AEDs, so probably 5 years. And with the AEDs, we are getting the pediatric pads. The old Philips Heart Start units had an attenuator. It's just basically a key that you would drop into the AED. You'd use an adult pad on a pediatric patient, but you would put one on the chest and one on the back, because the pads were large and you can't have them touched for arcing purposes. With the Zoll units, it has a separate pediatric set, so you can actually put them in the proper location. And the unit identifies the pediatric pads and automatically reduces the dose of the charge.
Oh, that's amazing.
The other thing about this one, with the Heart Start 2000, we had to have a disk programmed into the computer and come back and do a download. Every call you go on where you use the AED, you gotta do a report and send it to the EMSA. That proved to be a little difficult because it was old technology too. What's great about these are Bluetooth. So we can set it right there and transfer information to the computer to do the reports. So that was also a big plus.
Board comment?
Yes, when you purchase these, can you make sure to have the information updated? So otherwise, according to this thing, we're not gonna get these.
What's that?
We're not gonna get these if you send out. It says ship to San Miguel Flyer, 2850.
Oh, I already corrected that. That was what spearheaded the conversation. People do that to us all the time. That's how you guys got 8655, for God's sakes. They packaged up an engine for San Diego and sent it up here, and the board took it. At any rate, that was my first conversation.
They were gonna get our AEDs.
I made sure that they had the proper address to make sure it wasn't a billing issue. The contact person, when I did the web search and everything, I inputted the proper information, but they just do their, point click thing, and
Right.
so I was reviewing it, and I said, that's the wrong address. So my first contact was, hey, does this impact our purchase as far as shipping goes? And then we got into the depth of our
We'll just use that.
financial windfall, let's say, because we did get a really good deal on it.
The other part of that really good deal is, one, Scott looked for a really good deal. And just replacing these at the tune of a little over $2,000 a piece, just for the three engines, would have been $6,000. San Miguel Garbage Men's the Garbage Men's Association, San Miguel Garbage, George went out and really advocated for us, and they donated $4,000 for our program, which is really incredible. And also we had an individual that we responded to donate, I don't want to say donate, and he passed away after a call we went on, and then in his passing, one of his requests that any donations or contributions made towards his service were forwarded to us, so we did receive a couple $100.
$325 for that. I mean, we potentially may receive more money in the future. That's why it says, that it was a not to exceed, because we potentially could receive more donations and the price would actually go down, and we would utilize those funds to offset.
So with that, and then the wheelings and dealings of Mr. Young, we actually, for 6 AEDs just for the fire department, did extremely well on a new purchase, as you know, looking at them compared to what we're paying. And they'll be in service for a while. They'll be a good use. 5-year warranties on them, so that's really good.
Government pricing that I found was $13.50 a piece.
They're about 1,100.
Good job.
So this purchase is for 3 for the trucks, 1 for this building, and 2 for the,
Response vehicles, the coverage vehicles.
so,
We're adding.
but we want to add 2 more to this.
We're gonna do a separate purchase order.
So it'd be 2 separate purchases, but because it's all the same thing from the same company,
Right?
I'm requesting an additional 3 units, 1 for each truck and 1 for the treatment plant. We're supposed to have one at the treatment plant anyway.
Right.
And currently, we have one of the old ones and one in our older ones.
Okay. Well, wouldn't that change this 6 to a 9?
Yeah, so we need to change the resolution to not exceed, and we need to change the amount.
Is it gonna be in a
It's
different
gonna be a
resolution?
separate purchase, and it's under $5,000, so I would say it doesn't even need to be captured in the resolution, it just needs to be a budget adjustment, so that was the previous conversation, was to adjust the
Fair enough.
budget.
Hence the reason.
But I don't want to, I may be speaking out of line, but I did not feel that it was appropriate to cross-collateralize the two because we are receiving donations, and this is a department purchase, so the two
I get it.
figures should remain
That's
standalone.
understandable.
So that's why I would approach it this manner.
Makes sense to me.
Well,
Any other board comment?
So these will be in the utility trucks as well.
So the fire department will have one in both chief vehicles, and then
Right.
the utilities will have one in each utility vehicle and at the
And
treatment.
at the, okay,
And they are trained and they
Yeah.
passed.
oh yeah, I love it. We got it at work, and the only thing is if you have a heart attack at night, you're working alone, you can't AED yourself.
Put it on yourself.
Put yourself before
Wear it all the time.
Before you clock in, wait to pass out.
You get the automatic ones, you don't have to push the button.
Velcro to the wall and run into it.
You can see it, just what happened recently at the Lompoc landfill. A gentleman was unloading his truck and he fell over and had a heart attack, and one of the workers in the yard knew CPR and started work on him, called 911. The guy lived.
Wow.
You know, it's one of those good stories. There's a lot of not so feel good stories that you don't hear about.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Did those thank you letters go out to those people who donate?
Yes, they did, I sent them.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other board comment?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2019-41.
Public comment first, please.
Oh, I thought you did.
I did.
I thought I saw a note back there.
You did.
Proceed.
He just didn't get the-
This is reading out green.
Sorry?
This is just weird.
I know.
Approve resolution 2019-41 for the purchase of 6 new Zoll Plus AEDs with additional pads.
I'll second that motion.
Director Green,
Yes.
Director Parent,
Yes.
Director Calavax,
Yes.
Director Callens,
Yes.
President Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Moving on to item number 4, discussion on status of Machado wastewater treatment facility expansion and aeration upgrade project.
So, again, we're back. The November averages, we had 162,858 gallons per day, 81% of our hydraulic design capacity, with a max day of 200,982 gallons per day, which is just slightly over 100% of our design capacity. So we're getting closer and closer, and we're staying closer and closer.
We hit 200,982 with that's wastewater, no rain influence. We didn't have rain in November, did we?
We had a little bit of rain in November. It wasn't really enough to make a big
Influence
difference.
things. Okay.
That might be the 982, I don't know. But
Right.
we have no way of measuring that.
Right.
We only have one drain, or storm drain inlet that we can 100% contribute to the treatment plant. And usually it takes quite a bit of water, or quite a bit of rain rather, to actually see a difference. I mean, quite a bit, I mean, we're talking about 2 or 3 inches a day.
Right.
So,
So we're right there. On the
so
edge.
we're getting closer. Other than that, don't really have a whole lot to update. We're leaning on the railroad right now, trying to get information back on whether or not we can use their property, if we can buy their property, all kinds of fun stuff for that. We're in contact with the USDA engineer in order to have them approve our preliminary design and our engineering report in order to get a preliminary okay, a lot of preliminaries, preliminary okay to move forward with grant funding with USDA. So basically we have to go through all these hoops with their engineer before we even apply, so that our application isn't held up in the application process with the same engineer. So we're supposed to be meeting with him, I believe, the first week of January. So hopefully he doesn't have any major issues. Luckily, he's coming here instead of us going there because he's in Visalia. Which, everybody loves Visalia, right?
Sure. There's lovely this time of year.
But everything at this point looks good. It looks like a new loan from USDA, or a new grant loan would probably be 50/50, and it would probably be in the interest range of 2 or 2.3%.
Good news.
However, there's no guarantee on the percentage until we actually have our application in. When we have our application in, that will hold our,
There's rate
Hold on,
locks
rate.
like buying a house?
Huh?
Can you lock a rate if all your
Only-
things are done?
only after you've submitted an application.
Okay.
So, sort of like buying a house, but, yeah.
That's a
Millions.
low rate. Man, that's a low rate for,
Well, and they're actually, the new rates from USDA right now are actually pretty low. So. Other than that, I'll take any questions.
Public comment?
I'm gonna let her do it this time. I don't wanna see.
It's very professional looking.
Any comments or questions?
That's us.
Yes, board comments or questions?
All the
I
way.
have more comments.
That's what
Enough
peanut
of this.
gallery.
Board, you mean the last item?
Mhm.
No, we're still on.
We're still on board.
Yeah.
Any board comments on the wastewater treatment plant? No? Okay, thank you for the update.
yeah.
With that, we'll move to board comment. You have board comment?
Take ten,
I do.
10.
Um, I'd like to request a special meeting in January for an update on all potential litigation. And with a information item also on the progress being made on the refinancing of the tank.
Okay.
I'm not available on the 9th, which is the second Thursday that Anthony was asking about, but
So I get to ask.
I'm available any other weekday. Just not the 8th or the 9th, I'm out of town for the night.
Would this just be closed session?
No, it would be, the refinancing information would be an open session, but it would be very brief. It would just be to get an update on the progress.
We can't do that.
And then the other item would potentially,
Can't do that via an email and not have an action item, 'cause it's not an action item?
no, yeah, we could do that. We could do that, I just don't want to, I want to see it move forward. I think that's a great idea to both get a lower interest rate and reduce the number of months that we're looking at.
That's what they're requesting.
Well, having it, you just email our progress on it instead of having an
Would you
open
guys like
session. Just have a closed session meeting?
an update then on the progress of it?
That'd be fine by me.
By email, not open session.
An email's fine.
They would get emails on any progress and it would be placed on the next agenda.
Right,
For
okay,
discussion.
fair enough.
I think everybody on the board would like you guys to pursue pretty.
Yeah.
So it'd be our
Aggressively
January
as
23rd
possible.
meeting.
Well, that's my point, that's why I don't want it to fall through the cracks.
But we
Yeah,
still
definitely.
a closed session for the.
And
I want
then-
to be updated on everything that the district is facing.
Oh.
Okay. So,
And that, I mean everything.
So January 23rd, refinance.
The 16th is a little late, if
Oh,
we're,
boy.
one that we're dealing with.
I don't have to do minutes to it, that's enough. It's closed.
the 14th?
Um,
You're on the-
I don't have a commitment on a date. Can I get that commitment on a date and hold the board to set a meeting for that?
Sure.
Say that again?
I don't have a commitment on a finish date. So can I
Oh.
hold the board for a date, or we set a date and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have it.
Yeah, we can cancel it, but I'd like to be prepared.
Oh, I see what you're, okay.
I'd like to be prepared,
So what they,
because it's gone on long enough, that's my concern, it's been ridiculous.
you said you're out the 8th and 9th?
The 8th and 9th, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be available on the It's be a stretch that I'll make it back by 6 on the 9th.
How about Tuesday the 7th?
Tuesday the 7th.
There's drill.
Oh, it's true, I'm sorry.
Tuesdays.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
so
14th is too late.
the 14th is a drill also. It'd be the 13th, which is a Monday. Oh no, then Rob can't be here for that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be out of town.
I'm on night shift.
So,
Oh,
16th.
16th.
How about Friday the 3rd?
How about January the 23rd?
I can do Friday the 3rd.
No, that's too soon. We won't have the information.
Yeah,
we need.
I like the 23rd, the 23rd works.
Is that good?
That's for me too.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Fine.
if that helps, we're pretty sure, right, Kelly? Back me up on this, that we're not gonna have a GSA meeting in January. That's when I was talking to Blaine, he said, nada. Right?
I
What
see a
else we
smile,
have?
Is that,
Well,
Okay, so-
I'm not gonna say 100% that we're not having it.
Well, then we can have an hour-long
Okay,
closed
so-
session instead of a half hour.
So GSA meetings are not a closed session.
No.
Would we be able to conduct a closed session
6.
for a regular meeting and then go into a GSA open meeting and then go into a regular open? Because
It's a different agency.
we carve out a half an hour for the GSA and we use 5 minutes and then we have to sit here for 25 minutes.
Sure.
And then we run out of time in our regular closed session.
Or after the meeting.
Yeah, how about GSA after the meeting?
Well, then you're gonna pay, not if,
Not
As
if
you don't have
Engineer's
a
gonna sit
10-item
down.
agenda for the regular meeting.
what's that?
If we have a 10-item agenda for the regular meeting, I don't really know if I want to stick around for a GSA meeting after all of that.
Or what if you wanted to do,
Excuse me.
sorry,
No, go.
Go ahead.
what if you shorten the GSA meeting and notice the closed session for earlier?
I would love to do that.
How short can we go? Can we go
It
quarter
depends.
hour?
10 minutes?
Yeah.
It depends what's coming up in a GSA meeting or not at all, but he might know something I don't know.
We'll try really hard not to have one, but I can't guarantee that we're not gonna have one.
okay, so,
Realistically, we're at the phase with the GSA where it's
It wouldn't
a
be,
formality to vote yes on all the
it
work that's
wouldn't,
been done.
it wouldn't necessarily be part of the GSP or the submittal, it would be for other activities that need to get done.
I see.
So.
Yeah.
okay, so we
All right,
still,
well, that we can determine later.
Well, we can have a GSA meeting any other day too.
Yeah, we can.
so are we doing a special meeting on the 16th, is that?
It is.
Yes, fine with that.
9.
Special meeting on the 16th then?
I'm off, works for me.
Yep, that works for me.
John, yes. Anthony?
Yeah.
Ashley?
Yeah.
Hector?
Regular
Joe?
meeting.
Consensus is on the 16th, closed session only.
What time?
What time do you guys want it?
6?
Okay.
I'm off all day, it doesn't matter to me.
5?
No.
No, 6, Ashley, yeah, I forgot. So, on 1/16/19 at 6 o'clock. 6 p.m. You getting this, Karen?
6 p.m.
Okay, because it's all you guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other board comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's close. Oh, okay. What else you got?
I'd like to request that we adjust